Okay, so as you saw in the last video, the real cleanup video, I did a IR3 quantum uh, iron series. It was an IR3. This right here is also a quantum iron series. Now that one was Magnum gears, and this one is continuous anti-reverse. And so this one is the IR120C. This reel is shiny. Shiny, right? It's shiny. I like shiny. So some differences that you will notice. It's got this strange little detent button down here. The other one, it had basically the same stuff, but the other one had these two screws plus hand twisters to take the cap off. But beyond that, they're basically the same thing. This has got a flat reel handle type deal. And the other difference is the R3 has the reel release here, and here it's in the front. So, hold on, we got a little bit of string left on that thing. And I had mentioned that I was going to reel the line off this one onto the other reel, and I did that. So before we get started, and I've got the drag all the way loosened up to have spooled it off, but let's start with the sound. I don't know if you can hear anything, but it's making zero noise. So there's no noise hardly at all coming from this reel. And I believe we're going to find some different stuff inside once we get to it. So let's start with the teardown. Again, just like before, we're going to get in here and undo this screw. And to be honest, that's just discolored, but there is no goop on it, so I don't see a reason to even bother cleaning that later. Again, we have the nut, and I'm still a nut. Don't do this. Use a wrench. And that is a very tight nut on there. But it doesn't hurt anything, because if you watch the other video, which I'll probably link these together, and you can see there's just very little anything on this. So I'll probably do it. I'm going to go ahead and drop it in the same liquid solution as the other one was. But again, we have the little spacer, the little plate. It's got some goop on it. We're going to rub that off with our fingers. Put that down. And another thing that I do, sometimes without thinking, and sometimes I don't think and don't do it, but this went on this way. And so I'm putting it down on my mat the same way it's going to go back on here. So grab this, put your finger in there to hold the bell, and don't put a whole lot of pressure on your I don't know what it's called, still didn't look it up, the spooler guide, maybe, and that's already loose. I didn't even have to do that. Once you get it up here, though, it does take a little bit to get it on coming off. Not a lot. It's no biggie, but there we go. So we're going to take this and drop it in the solution just to soak. And again, just like before, or almost just like before. So in this one, we've got one cupped keyed washer. And it's this one. Appears that we have two. And someone has gone through the trouble of marking these right there so that they match up. But to be honest with you, let's turn them 90 degrees to one another. Well, they mark both sides, but you have the same thing. So these are basically just pushing towards one another. And once you can even line them up. So let's just say we line them up to their flush, just for an example. Okay, but you see here, they won't go back on until they spin like this. So I don't see where there is a difference in how you can put these on unless you put them upside down towards one another. Then they would be matched up and flush. So these are just kind of like Belleville kind of washers. And you know what? I didn't think about it, but I need to check that other reel to make sure that I did that with them. Isn't that a fine howdy-do? We'll undo the tensioner. So we still got the little wear plate on the back. That's all good. There's our shaft. It's in great shape. None of these look bad. So let's take our screws out. And this is the gear side. And I think this is where we're going to see our big difference between these two reels. But I think there's going to be a lot of the same things. So let's just hold that in place. Lift this up. Let's go ahead and drop this down in there. Let it go to soaking. Work this plate loose. Let's say we're going to work this plate loose. There we go. Now, you can see this bearing here. So this is the same plate that's used on the other one. And you got this nut right here that is because if you remember the other one, and that bushing only goes in one way. We'll drop that down. The other one had this same setup right here. So I may not take this out if it doesn't just come out pretty easy. There we go. So that come out pretty simply. That bearing, which is, this is actually, looks like two pieces, but I think that's pressed together. I don't think that's, I don't think that is supposed to be removable. So we're going to put that back in there the way it goes. You got this sleeve that's on here, so that we hopefully don't lose track of it, because I drop stuff. I don't know if y'all know that. Well, that doesn't seem to want to come off, so that's good. We'll leave that on there. As before, we got the springs. I'm going to take those off, set them to side. And you got a little different gearing assembly and such and whatnot down in here because of the way this all, excuse me. Yeah, because this all works down over here. So it's a little different, but kind of the same, and maybe not. But we got more goop to clean up. So, and we have, let me Let me see if I can pick it off. You remember that clutch. Just wanted to look and compare the clutches. Turn it upside down. Maybe that'll help pull it back easier. So this is, and I don't know what that material is, but it's a very thick clutch style material that's in there. Before, if you'll remember, this is slightly abrasive on the inside of that gear. And this right here feels almost like ceramic, but slightly abrasive. Almost like a super hard soapstone, maybe, or something. But let's go ahead and see about getting some of this goopy grease off here. And yeah, I know I'm dropping it inside there, but we're going to clean that out. And I may just have to so that ain't coming off so easy. So we're just going to leave it on there. We're going to clean it out without it. So we got all the material out. Let's set that back in there. And let's see what we can get off this gear side. Let me tilt it so hopefully I don't have to try to clean inside there anymore. Okay, so now would be a good time to get a towel. Go ahead and tear me some chunks. Okay, so this, and to be honest with you, what this reminds me of is shellac in an old carburetor. I mean, it reminds me exactly of that. Now, this isn't any kind of high speed, nothing. Now, this, I mean, I would assume maybe this is set out in a garage or something, and it was getting super hot, maybe sitting out in the sun a lot. Maybe it's set open in somebody's boat. I don't know. But it's almost a smell in the feel that this grease just over time super hot and dried out. And that's kind of what it seems like to me. It's real flaky. None of it is grease-like, like the other one. Even the chunks, the heavy spots, are still flaking loose. See about that big piece? Yeah, see, they just come off as a chunk. So it is literally just hard. Let me see if this will come off, because I really, yeah, that's a whole assembly. Should be able to lift this up high enough possibly to get that to come off. Yes. That's just too much in there to try to leave that in. I don't like that at all. So we'll have to play with that a little bit to get it back together. And I believe this is actually going to end up being cleaner, easier to clean, rather, because the grease, the old grease, is just flaking off instead of rubbing off. And so it comes off with, yeah, see how that's just coming right off of there? You definitely want to change your oil before this happens. Definitely needed some tender loving care. Okay. Now, being as we've exposed all this, see if we can flake all this grease off. And I don't know, this could be a situation where someone maybe sprayed it with something to, like brake parts cleaner or something like that, to thinking they're cleaning it out. And all they did was just harden up all the grease in here. And they probably put it up at that point, which is good for me. Because if they'd have went on to using it like this, all this stuff would have worn out. I mean, all these gears and everything, because there's just literally no lubrication from this stuff. I really hadn't found any that would even try to lubricate if it got caught up in a gear, to be honest with you. This is just really ugly. The grease and everything was still soft in the other one. And so I didn't bother pulling any of this stuff loose and greasing underneath it. But I'm definitely doing it on this one. So I'm going to go ahead and get some grease up underneath there. Try and wipe away what I can, but I don't want to wipe too much. There's a spring in there. And the stuff's not, it's hard. Don't get me wrong. It flakes, but it's not like brick hard or anything like that. And it's not going to pose a threat to these brass gears, because it's even flaking like it is, it's much softer than the brass gears are. And I also would say that once it was to get up in there and go to moving around, probably turn back into grease, maybe. I don't know. We're going to go ahead and put some on these posts here while they're exposed. Now I'm putting a whole lot more grease in here than I did on the other one, because I'm also, I mean, there's literally zero anywhere. And I probably should rip all of this stuff out, clean it all detailed, and put it back together, but I'm not. Because that's just more opportunities for me to drop screws. And I'm a gober, and I'll drop screws. See? I mean, I drop screws like I intend to drop them. Another bearing, just like the other one. So the bearing system on this is basically put together exactly the same as the other one. Get some grease right there. Try and get that grease to spread across all of those gears. Now, one thing I can see, this is brass, this is some kind of nylon gear, it looks like, and of course the same nylon gear underneath here that we had on the other one. But there's definitely more brass in this one than was in the other reel. And I think that may be the, see, that one's super clean, that worm gear. So let me clean some of this junk out the way. All right, so now got that. So let's get this gear in place. Before I put it in there, I want to put a little bit of grease up in here. And match that with some on the bottom. And I'm going to kind of spread a little bit all around because it's and right here, this little ramp, this hits that, or no, it hits this right here to kick this whole thing up. So now this little part right here, it's like some kind of a cam style on the gear, but hopefully you can see how that is cut. So we put that back in here, sitting in that cradle just like that. So now we're going to get on this, we need to lift this gear up and try to finagle that one into place, and it goes right in beautifully. Remesh those gears, and then you see as you push that down, that's what lifts that up, pops back down. Put all this back down again, and so let me do this too. I'm just going to put a little grease underneath these surfaces here on the outside. And this might be a mistake, to be honest with you. I don't really know. Oh, but I'm going to make it very thin. And the reason why I say it might be a mistake, because I don't think there was any on there, and I don't think it probably doesn't need it, in all honesty. But it's there. Now let's get a little bit of grease, and we're going to kind of doctor up along this same gear as we did before. We're just going to hit a couple of spots as we move it around. I don't want to put too much in one spot, and I don't want it riding up on top, getting into that clutch. So let me try and wipe the top down. Now let's spin this around. And the idea is to get the grease good and meshed between all of those gears. So now I see a good portion of grease in there. Just get a little dollop. Probably have to clean some of this out. Okay, so there we have some grease. Got that back greased, that's greased, the posts are greased. So all that stuff is greased up really good. So let's put this off to the side for a second. We're going to just kind of wipe this down. I mean, this has had time to soak way more than the other one did. And so I don't have to do a lot of scrubbing or nothing. Well, that's good and cleaned up. Set that off the side. And this really wasn't dirty, but it's soaked long enough that just hit it a couple times and we should be good. I'm really trying to dry all this out. And got that. Good, good. And get up inside there. And it don't look like I learned anything from last time, because I waited until after I had greased it before I cleaned the outside of the reel. But in my opinion, and again, as always, correct me if I'm wrong, but I just kind of see the outside cleaning as being just cosmetic. It's not really that big a deal because it is going to get dirty again if you use it. Now I can see getting some of the greasy crud off of these paddles, because I've had these get old sticky from being set up or whatever. I can't stand that. I don't even want to use it. It'd be all sticky. Okay, hold on just a second. I mean, they make shirt tails for a reason. To dry stuff off really quickly. And now, let's get a little two. A toi. And when you pop these back up in there, get that all soaked down in there. I mean, these were turning free anyway, but this will help keep them turning free, in my opinion. And I could just put it on that little weep hole right there and let it go in, but why? Why not? It's just fine. Who's texting me? Ape Survival. I don't even know what that is. So now let me put this to the side for a minute and focus on this hot mess. Well, I got a vacuum for a reason, so try to get as much of this gump off. And this is at least a little softer there. That is one. Well, that ain't, but ooh, I knew that would come out. So this, I'm going to let this soak for a bit. Okay. Alrighty, so I can't put this back together on this side yet because I need that to soak a little bit. I need to kind of brush it a bit, and then we can put that back together. But let's show you here. So let's see, how do I need to do this? Well, I don't know if I really want to get this going on. Well, oh, here we go. Okay. Okay. I thought it pulled off and don't it? That's a slip cam. So right here, you'll see where this goes in to push that loose. And okay, we go. It's got a little bit of grease on it. I don't want to slide off there. And so right here, you have like a beveled bell. Same thing as before. You got a bearing over here, which we're fixing to put some grease on. And in. Just slide some around in here. And that little piece you saw move right there, that little metal piece, that's what you would pop out of there to take this bearing out. But I don't want to pop it out, so I ain't gonna. And let's put a little bit on that. And so here's your tensioner. You see these same ones, same type of little deals, except it's a little differently made. It's 2, 4, 6 of them instead of 2, and they'll slide against the inside of this right here, and that'll help keep that bell centered along with the bearings. I don't know why it needs the assist. If potentially it's because of the lateral force put against it as you're pulling in a fish. It may assist or help in some form or fashion like that. And again, this right here is, well, I guess we can go ahead and just push the whole thing out. You can see. Look at that. That's clean. That doesn't need any help from me. So maybe it helps because this you can take and as you tighten it up, it'll push it into this little bevel and hold it kind of in there in place. And these little slips, I don't know what they do. I'd be just making something up to tell you. But it's part of the drag. This would be pushed in and pushing this into that bevel gear, kind of, or bevel liner, kind of like on the other one. I didn't even think about trying to explain it. I finally looked at it and figured out what it was doing, but I don't think I said anything. And this right here, I can probably slide that out just like with the other one. But this whole portion right here would slide into that, which is beveled, and that will push this over here and reduce the friction of this free spin on this spool. And so when you are taking your knob here and you're adjusting the how free your spool spins, that's what you're doing. You're pushing it into this right here. And it's a very, very fine adjustment. It's not a heavy adjustment at all. And these little rollers right here probably roll against the inside. I don't see where it looks like it's tracking on it, so maybe it doesn't. But potentially it could. There's no grease in here really that I can tell, so I'm not putting any more in here. I'm just leaving this as is. And I'm not trying to come across as some kind of professional on this. I'm just using basically common sense to try to see what, just to clean this up. Let's get some grease just in the front here. And on the inside. So, and again, we'll probably just wind up brushing this down after we get it all put back together. Because why? Ask yourself why. If I was to give you a reason, what would it be? Because I'm a goober. So, let's see. this is going to go in like this. And so that's going to clip in there. So let's line those up. In there. That's got it locked back in place. So cool. All right, so let's set this to the side and get our little Doolamahiki Baba Juby Juby. So that's cleaned up pretty good. I want to show you my shirt tail trick. Looks like it's going to take 2 Billy Bobs on this. But I can't show you my shirt tail trick. You want to look at my belly? I definitely have people unsubscribing. I gotta watch that in videos. Don't show the belly. They know it's there. Trust me. They know the belly's there. I think they've probably seen evidence. But they don't want to see the belly. So there we go. Okay, so we get dot bacanar. All right, that's pretty dry. Still a little bit up in there, but I think we're fine. So now I'm going to pull that off. Push that back down because that's where that goes. Now, let's double check. There's no marks on this, so it's not like it is keyed or needs to go back a specific which, where, how. And it just slips right up in there. It's just a little bit there at the last that kind of holds it in place. So let's get some grease. Oh, that fogged up. Now I'm trying to squish this up in those needle bearings. Because to be honest with you, I don't even know if they turn. I'm going to have to try to move them once I can get some grease in there because I want to try to work it in. But I just can't tell, to be honest with you. So I'm just going to keep on trying to pack grease in there. Just pretend like you're packing the thrust bearing on a car. So I think that's good enough. Put this back in again. We'll get the raw reel. And we done. Put grease on those posts. So good there. And so this will be on this sleeve here. We'll get some grease on it. Now on the other one, these had dowel recesses where pins went up in. This just has standoffs, but basically the same thing. I mean, it's not that it's really any different. It's just different, if that makes sense. And so there we have that. And make sure we got everything where it goes. And let's put this on. Hold that in place. Drop the cap back on it. And we get our screws. And we're going to tighten these up. And again, we're not going to do a huge amount of torque. Just kind of cinch it in place. Just want to hold this down, but we just don't want to. And just take it easy. Don't make sure you don't cross thread these. Now I'm going to set that off, and let's pick this. Let's try to. I lost my pick. This looks like it is a not sure what that's called. That's almost like a piece of fiber of some sort. And I am just going to put the barest amount of pinwheel grease under there. And that feels kind of rubbery. The other reel is definitely older, you can tell. Because it was harder. And I don't see any reason why you can't flip this disc. But there's just no wear to the top side of it, so I'm not going to do it. But if you start to get any kind of wear on it, I can't see what the big deal is if you flipped it. I mean, I don't see why. Now that little bit of grease underneath it, well, let's look back. I want to show you something. A little bit of grease underneath that disc holds it in place so it doesn't slip around and maybe come out of that little recess before you get it down. You got a gasket right here. I want to go ahead and put a little bit of grease on that gasket because that's going to help seal water from getting up inside this assembly and therefore inside the reel. And you want to try to coat this gasket as much uniformly around as you can if you want to get grease on it, because it's not going to get a whole lot of work. It's just going to be a short period of time that everything falls on the ground and poke a big old jugger in your foot. I wouldn't feel it until it got too deep because my feet are numb. So you get it screwed down to right about here, and then it's just that last little bit you'll float back and forth. And so you don't get a whole lot of movement to work that in. So try to get it all the way around your gasket is what I'm trying to say, in a long, drawn-out, roundabout way. Now I'm going to drop this all the way down to where I got a fair amount and then nothing. I'm just going to leave it there. There's practically none. So we're going to leave it there. And now let's clean some of that out. That's really not dirty at all. That is, and I actually know what that is. That is actually debris from behind my lathe because it just kind of stayed back there, propped against the wall for a long period of time. But I've had this reel for a long time. I'd say several years. And because I bought it at a yard sale, and it's been so long ago that I do not remember, what I paid for it. That's how long ago it's been. So we're just gonna take and get up in there. And this is already in such good shape that I'm not really overly concerned about super cleaning. Just want to get some of the goober that's up in there. Okay. So now, just try to dry that off. Here, there, and yonder. Okay, so that is pretty good. Really none there. So, all right, this worm gear is so clean. Let's see. What is that? That's some of that shellac grease. Shakalak and grease. But it's still not bad. So, all right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull this. And we're going to work on this pawl too. And I think I'm just going to do some cleaning as I go. That's fine. Now, see if I can get it to pop. There she goes. Get it to drop down enough so I can actually pull it out. I'm glad I tore this thing down. Like I said, I don't even remember where I got it. I know it would have been at a yard sale, and I don't know exactly how long ago that was. But definitely needed some work done inside. literally no real lubrication of any sort. So we're going to pack this up with some grease. Let me just go ahead and see if I can get the rest out of this cap. Which I won't use this much, but move that across. As bad as my hands are shaking, you'd think I needed another drink. But I don't drink. Okay, so I'm just going to scrape some more of this. Apparently I am going to use all the grease up here. Get some of that out. And go up in there. And then, like before, we're going to put a little bit on the threads. Some on the cap. Okay. Now, same as before. I'm going to grab it. This seems like this might be a harder metal. I don't know. Which that would be nice. I'm going to drop it down in there. And then I'm going to press on a little bit while we turn until it catches. There we go. So now that it's caught, let's get our cap. Try to get it squared up on there. Just spin it by hand. Get it back in the open. And we're going to barely cinch it down just a smidge. Now, we'll just run that back and forth. And that is coating up in there really good. But I want some more grease on that. More grease, more grease. And let's get some. Mm. All right, so now we got that baby all greased up good. Now, as far as the remainder of the outside, I mean, that's really clean. What imperfections you see on that are scratches, gouges from abuse. Not from me. I didn't do it. I did not do it. And Houston, we have a problem. You saw that, you knew it, and you did not say a word. Not a word. You did not even mention, hey, goober, you're being a goober. You're being a big goober. Screws are okay to have left over. Bushkins are not. It is not okie dokie to have Darsh Bushkins. Wait, why did I pull all that out? See? Why did I pull any of this out? I really am a goober snorter. Must be getting tired. I don't even know it's 12 o'clock yet. I almost smell some food in there. I know I'm hungry. I know that for a fact. I did check the little plate. It is in place. It didn't pop loose. And back up. All right, so now we are going to oh man, look at that. I got it the first try. So, shit works. So, I got to get the other reel. I forgot to put, no, that, I'm sorry. That must have fell out of this one. I think I did put it back in the other one. That is a little disc in the bottom of these here, and I didn't see it in the bottom of this one, so it's got to be on that. Yep. So let's spin this back around. Take that loose. And put the disc on there. And that is one thing that you can do on them is putting shims under there. So this piece right here, it only goes so far. The other pawl locks into place into the worm gear. And if you have problems where this doesn't go freely back and forth, you can get little shims. Take this cap off and put another shim on there, and it'll push that pawl further forward. And so you'll get more use out of that pawl. But then eventually it's going to be a case that you're going to have to replace it because it's just done for. And then we'll get these back on. Okay, sorry about that. So, well, hold on. I don't know why my brain is misfiring on me so much right now, but it is. Let's see something. Make sure I don't flip-flop these wrong. And that's wrong. So flip them over. There we go. Now this one's nice. I catch that thing just right. The threads match up. Everything's perfect every single time. Okay. So I would have kept on there, and you would have only gotten so much adjustment on your drag because I didn't put those spacers in. So now we'll drop our handle shim, put our handle on, and get our nut. So, and maybe I can demonstrate. So, and I don't remember if I did on the other one or not, but anyway, back up, back up, back up, and eventually you'll feel it pop, and it just did, and it goes in. So you look at this nut, and you'll see a chamfered side and a flat side. Flat side goes towards, oops, I'll let it pop over again. Here we go. Flat side goes towards the handle. So really all you got to do is get that enough so it's not wiggling, but you have to get this piece in there as close to that hole, which I can overshoot it by that much. And then here I got to tighten the heck out of it. But to be honest with you, the handle's not moving at all. So I can back that up just a smidge to the holes in line. And that and there's a little bit of movement in the handle. So let's bar down on it. I don't have to bear down on it a lot, just enough to get that in alignment. Need to go back just a tad. And that, oops, is perfect. So now, get that in there. And I mean, these videos are going to be long. I'm not sure. I'll figure out to put some timestamps in them. But there's only so much because it's just a process. And so it spins easy. Okay, so that's a little bit. And then, all right. So now we're going to do the test. I'm going to put it back up by the speaker or the microphone. And I don't think you're going to hear like less. So click it. And so I don't know if there's any more or less noise, to be honest with you. Keep spinning that for a little bit so I can get that grease just kind of filled up in there. Work the gears and all that kind of good stuff. So this one is definitely quieter than the other reel. And there's a few differences inside, not a ton of differences, but there's a few differences inside. I think they're both extremely well-made reels, but I also believe that the other one is heftier, dutier than this one. I could be wrong. I don't know. It just kind of seemed that way from the internals, that it was a little heavier built, the gearing maybe. But I think they're both extremely good reels. And you see a disc there, but that's from something else. That's not from a reel. So anyway, we got another good one going on here. This one I will have to probably just string from scratch, because I don't know. I may put some stranded string on this. I got some yellow stranded string, and that may be what I put on it, but we'll see. Anyway, I appreciate your time. The video's long enough. I appreciate you staying awake, keeping me awake, keeping me in check, and I will see you next time. Your time is very important to me, and I thank you for spending it here with me. Thanks, and God bless.